And we're live here on YouTube. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land, and also my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike. Um, Certainly, it's a lot colder here. Temperatures dropped big time,
Yeah, it was.
where it feels like winter again but no snow yet. No snow, I think. So that's
We got a
thankful for
dusting
that.
overnight.
Yeah, yeah, we did get a dust. I will say we did get a dusting going from Thursday to Friday, but not. It wasn't anything that I needed to shovel. So
Yeah. So, um, yeah, it went from like 45 on Monday to like 12 yesterday.
hmm
So that was fun.
yeah, I think it probably was like in the 20s or 30s on my side of Iowa.
Yeah.
But still cold. Pretty good week at work, and then got a nice surprise on Friday as the folks in the office were reminded me that Monday was a holiday for us, so I don't have to go to work on Monday
That's nice. I do, but
because of Martin Luther King Day. So
yeah, we have to go to. We have
do you get President's Day off instead?
nope,
No.
no. We have
Okay.
PD this week, and then President's Day we have PD as well. So
So yeah, so that was a surprise for me. I don't know if I just
forgot.
totally yeah forgot about it or didn't think that that was a holiday for our company, but I'll take it. So I will certainly take it, enjoy the time home with the missus, and get some get some of my courses done through the church. So maybe I don't have to rush and worry about it as much this weekend, knowing that I can fall back on Monday to kind of work on some stuff.
Yeah.
All
Um,
right, Mike. A lot of things. Anything else on the anything else you'd want to share before we jump into what we're going to be talking about on the
I think I am
sports related?
good. Uh, no, I'm good.
All right, Mike. So big week in sports for the city of Chicago and for our teams as the Cubs had announced a big signing, and but everybody seems to be under Bears fever right now with as well as they're playing.
And they're making the national headlines with some of the quote unquote behaviors. We might talk about that too, along with a quick pit stop into the NASCAR corner as we have what our postseason equivalent will look like this next year.
hmm
We'll talk about that and more. But first, Rich, what's the time to do?
Mike, let's go ahead and roll the intro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.
And we're back. Before we get any of that in, we have essentially one more poll question left. But we have to talk about last week's. Last week's was
Mhm.
our third place matchup: farmers markets versus bird watching. This was way closer than I thought it was going to be,
All right.
and I'm slightly surprised.
All right. So, Mike, I went with bird watching. I think because I can do that from home. The farmer's market is something I got to leave the house for. It's something I admittedly maybe kind of forget about. Um, but but it is nice to support the local economy, support the local people, um, selling the goods. But I ultimately went with the activity that I could do from home,
Mm.
and that I'm hoping to maybe do here in the next couple of years is by putting up a bird feeder and seeing what just
And
watching the birds that come by.
it's relaxing. It really is. So, uh, farmers market wins 6-5.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a lot closer than I thought it would be.
Let's talk about the 5 people that voted for bird watching, which I'm actually kind of shocked at one of these. Uh, Me, Sue Hart, Heather Marie, Rich Hendricks and Barbara Rose, my sister and sister-in-law. My sister-in-law's actually kind of afraid of birds,
Really?
and
Okay.
she still voted for it.
Well, you can watch them from a distance.
I
Kind of like
guess,
I
and
am,
you can.
kind of like I am with fish. I can somewhat enjoy them from a distance.
You enjoy
But
the fish that are behind me and all the activities there because they're through a screen at a distance and you don't actually have to deal with them.
yeah, you get me in the same distance up against your larger piranha, not as much.
That guy's a
The
that
distance,
guy's
the distance.
that
I
guy
know
is
the distance has.
harmless.
I know the distance has to increase for me to enjoy them as opposed to your little smaller fish.
Anyway, those that voted for Farmers Market: Keaton Werner, Matt Johnson, Danielle Hart, Austin Shrepak, Brandon Close, and Nathan Ross. You know, that was a really hard one for me. I love both of these.
So, Mike, I didn't hear your name rattled off.
Oh, I
So
did. I
did
voted
you?
for. I said bird watching.
Okay.
Here's the deal. Our farmers market aren't super great, so I picked the one that I can enjoy a little bit more. And you can do bird watching year round. I have a
You
bird.
can.
I have a
You
bird
can.
feeder out, and I have birds at it every day. So
Okay. Yeah, I will give you that. That is true. As some farmers markets, some farmers market, ours here in our corner of Iowa does have an indoor portion, but then the farmers market shrinks because obviously I'm sure the fee to have an indoor booth is more than it is to have an outdoor booth space. So yeah, it is a little harder to have one outdoors in the winter.
yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Mike, our championship, the poll's going to go live at 10 a.m., probably around the time that we're going to be done recording.
Okay.
It's going to be number 3 grilling versus number 1 bonfires. Sometimes these two activities go hand in hand as you'll grill around a bonfire, and you can also cook on a bonfire instead of having to bring a separate grill to cook your meat at your gathering. But this is how the poll shaked out. Grilling, bonfires. Mike, tell them where they can find the poll.
So, Rich, you can find the poll on Facebook.com/ballsandsticks, Facebook.com/fans of balls and sticks, or Rich or Mai's page. Check that out and join in.
All right, Mike. NFL wild card weekend, since we have the most notes and probably have the most things to talk about with it being the Bears Packers, let's give that result last. All right,
Sounds good.
Rams Panther, just to give a recap, Mike, our picks were Rams, Bears, Bills, Niners. We differed on the outcome of the Patriots. I took the Pats and Texans. You went with the Bolts and the Steelers. Mike,
Yep.
let's keeping the Bears game for last. Let's give those results, Mike.
So, Rich, you went perfect this week as the Rams won 34-31.
A lot closer game than I thought it would be. I
Yep.
think I watched maybe the last 2 minutes of that game.
Yep.
Maybe
The-
not nervous, but kind of surprised.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I had that maybe rooting for the Panthers a little bit, because that would have been a lot easier game for the Bears.
But the Bears wouldn't have gotten that game. Oh, yeah, we would have.
We would have, because the Panthers were the number 4 seed,
Yeah, that's right.
winning their division.
That's right. The Bills won over the Jags 27-24. The Niners won over the Eagles 23-19. Rich, you picked up the win with the Patriots winning over the Chargers 16-3. And finally, you picked the Texans over the Steelers. I truly only picked the Steelers because I knew you wouldn't. And
Okay.
it would give us a differing opinion. But that game seemed a lot closer going into the, weren't they tied or 1 point of difference going into the fourth quarter?
Honestly, I really wasn't. I probably found out more about that game with my boss telling me things about it than I did by watching it. I think I only acknowledged maybe the score he was saying, he asked, "Oh, did you watch that game last night?" It's like, "Which game you referring to?"
Yeah.
Because he's a big
So
Bears fan, so I would have thought with the weekend, did you watch the game? So, all right, that could have been he maybe wants to talk about the Bears game. But no, he was referring to the
the
Steelers
Texans
game.
were only up 1 point going into the fourth quarter. They scored 23 points in one quarter.
Hmm.
What? Yeah, the Steelers started out with the lead with 3-0. Then the Texans get in the second quarter. The Texans get a touchdown, and the Steelers get a second field goal, making it a 1 point difference. The fourth quarter, 13 minutes and 7 seconds left. The Texans kick a field goal. 11 minutes, so 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes later, Aaron Rodgers is sacked, fumbles the ball, picked up by Houston for a touchdown.
Okay, so there was some defensive scoring in there. I think the key takeaway that I remember my boss talking about, and he being kind of happy about, was that Aaron Rodgers' final pass of the year was an interception.
So I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
Not just an interception, by the way. A rushing touchdown with 3 minutes and 38 seconds left, making it 24-6. And then Aaron Rodgers' last play, a pick six.
Oh.
To make it 30-6. By the way, here's my problem. Did they take him out of the game?
I don't think they did. I don't recall hearing that they went to Rudolph. Mason Rudolph.
Did he throw another interception? Man, that's a bad game for Aaron. Like, I don't like that. No, he only threw one interception. So if his last throw was an interception, then it was that pick six with 2 minutes 39 seconds left. Either way, I was following. I didn't watch. I didn't care about that game. I just don't. I was doing other things. So I'm like, I at least get the scoring updates for everything on my phone. Everything. And so because of that, I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. It's a 1 point game. It could go either way. And then I get the fact that the Texans won 30-6. I'm like, in the fourth period, they were up by 1 point going into the fourth. I know they were. That's crazy to me. 23 points, one quarter. And then finally, the Bears win 31-27. Rich, how'd they do it? Like, legit, tell us how they did it.
Man, it just crazy. The defense finally the defense finally stepped up and started getting stops, and
In the second half.
and
The whole
they just
second
kept
half.
chipping away at that lead. Seventh fourth quarter comeback victory of the season. 18-point deficits, the largest comeback victory in Bears playoff history, and first postseason win against the Packers since 1941. But the caveat on that stance is that they've only played them in the playoffs 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part with it. They talk about that, oh, it's the first time since Pearl Harbor that the Bears beat the Packers in the playoffs. They've only played 3 times.
You could have made the same stat. What was it? 27, 15, 14? Yeah, it was 15, 14.
Yeah.
When the Bears and Packers only met for the second time. With that Packer victory, you could make the pundit stat of this is the first time the Packers have ever beaten the Bears in the postseason. That's only their second matchup in the postseason. So I don't feel that was as big of a deal to say that's the first time they beat them in the playoffs since 1941. It's only the third time they've played. it isn't like they were playing them in the playoffs. Like they have more a richer history of playing each other in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
So-
it was just crazy. Multiple third down and fourth down conversions. Yeah, just crazy.
Yeah.
It just makes it you just can't explain how they're doing it anymore. You just almost got to have that.
I actually have I will argue against this. I have an argument against this.
Okay.
The arguing how they do this. So here's the deal. And again, it's way early. I'm not saying we need to do this today. I'm not saying but in 2008,
Mm-hmm.
2009, 2010, when the Patriots are going on their tears, what was the biggest thing that people talked about the Patriots and why they won games?
Clutch performances.
Well, yes, but the other big thing, and this is something that people we might forget, halftime adjustments.
Okay.
And we've been watching it all year, Rich. And I will admit, I got downhearted early in that game. But here's the deal. Every seven fourth quarter come from behind victories. By the way, I would argue most of those quote unquote fourth quarter come from behind victories. Our second half come from behind victories. Truly. Because if you watch, the third quarter is where they start building the momentum, and the fourth quarter is where they end up, yes, they are behind going into the fourth quarter in all 7 of these games, but they've already built the momentum from the third quarter to come in. I don't understand it, but Ben Johnson has a way of making halftime adjustments. The things that we praised Bill Belichick for, the things we said made Bill Belichick one of the greatest things, one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach of all time, was his ability to come in and change up what they were gonna do in the second half. I would challenge all of you who haven't done it, watch every one of those 7 come from behind victories in the fourth quarter. The third quarter, I think at least on 6 of them, if not all 7 of them. The third quarter is where the turnaround really happens. You can see the difference. They never feel like they're out of a game in the third quarter. And once they get that first touchdown, that's where the momentum starts to build. And that's where, we have text threads, and once they got that first touchdown, I went pretty quiet about it. Because that's where I started having confidence. And I didn't want to say it, and I should have. But the fact of the matter is it's that halftime adjustments that the Bears are making that completely change how they play the second half, and that's how they're winning games. And that's what we watched with Bill Belichick and the Patriots back then. But to me, that is 100% where things are and how things are changing. Call me crazy, but that's what I'm seeing.
All right. So they're just playing an exciting brand of football.
They really are.
They're fun to watch.
And I'm not saying
even when you think they're out of it.
I'm not.
You can't turn off the tube and give up on it.
I'm not saying you can that it's going to work all the time, but the fact of the matter is, man, the way they're playing, I would I just look at the turnaround that happens coming out of the locker room, and that's where it changes. And so Ben Johnson has something dialed up where he changes things at halftime and makes it work. I love to see it. That's why we're going to talk about this week's games. Do you have? We should make the announcement. The Steelers are without a head coach for the first time in 18 years.
Yeah, after this game, Mike Tomlin stepped down. He was not fired. He stepped down, resigned.
Yep.
I think it's the right move, but this is coming from a biased opinion of I hate the Steelers, and eventually you need to move on if you're stuck in neutral of 500 and either missing the playoffs, but you can still hang your hat that you had a winning record, or you made the playoffs but got blown out or had a disappointing and quick first round exit.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin is
year.
an amazing head coach. Will go down in history. If he doesn't step foot on a sideline again, he will go down in history as one of the greatest coaches we've ever seen. Go down in history as a coach who never had a losing season as a head coach.
Yeah, a lot of
18 years, never
500 or just as many 500 or above 500.
So here's a funny thing to think about. Steelers fans are they expect greatness all the time, even when their team isn't great, and that middle of the road 500 life is not good enough for them, which is why we're seeing, like right now, we look at it and they're not happy with where they're at about it. I don't get it. Personally, I think if you told the Bears that Ben Johnson was going to go 500 for the next 20 years, we're never going to be. We might get one Super Bowl, which he did. He got one Super Bowl in that era, in those 20 years. We'll get one Super Bowl victory, and we won't go back. And I think we might get two. I think it's two. Was it 2 or 3 championship games, losing, but you'll get to 2 or 3 championship games, but you won't have a losing record for 20 years.
I don't know. I think the Steelers are an anomaly that they would stick with a coach that long.
I agree,
before letting him go.
But what I'm saying though is, like, would you take that as a Bears fan? One Super Bowl victory, twice getting to the NFC Championship, and the rest of the time you're going to win the division a few times here and there, but you're never going to be less than 500 for 20 years.
I think I'd like that. I think I'd take that, but I think at the same time, eventually you'd start scratching your head around
7 straight losses in the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah. You start scratching your head of, all right, what's he gonna do? Because how many defensive coordinators or offensive coordinators did he go through to change something? Because it isn't like he was losing coaches to head coaching jobs.
Right, but was he still getting those victories? Like,
he was.
Seriously, is there any doubt? Would you ever, in the past 18 years, how many seasons would you say the Steelers were bad? Like, in your head, and I know this is just going off the cuff, I think bad, 2, maybe 3. But truly bad, I don't know that they were ever truly bad. They were always in it. They always, like I said, they always had a winning record. So how do you break it down like that where you're upset that this is what's going on? Like, I don't know. They've never, and that's the thing, they've never been a bad team in his tenure. Even though sometimes their skilled positions are lacking. I don't know. To me, I think It's hard. Do I think it was time? Yeah. Do I think it's the right decision by Mike Tomlin? Yeah. But here gets the tough part. Was this his decision?
I think it was. There may have been some pressure from ownership or the front office to say, all right, what are we going to do to fix this? All right, well, what's your plan to fix this? Or
Ownership has never fired someone.
no, they haven't. Yeah, you're right. They have not.
So if ownership has never fired someone, is that part of why they didn't? And if that is the reason they didn't fire him, and they pressured him to step down, he still essentially was fired. I don't know. But I think Mike Tomlin is a great head coach. Hats off to him. If we didn't have Ben Johnson, let's throw this out here. Let's say somehow Matt Eberflus got to coach this year, and let's say we still are where we're at. Let's say we'll make the argument that
Coach Flus got us to this point.
Somehow got us to this point. Are we
And
talking
Mike Tomlin
about Mike
and John
Tomlin being
Harbaugh?
available? One of these two guys being available. Do you want one of them?
I think I would, but if somehow the coach and the coaching staff, whether it's saying that, yeah, it wasn't Coach Flus doing this, pulling the strings, it was his coordinators that got us to this point, finding the right mix on coordinators that finally got us to this point. It'd be hard to turn away from them. But essentially, that's what we did with Lovie Smith, winning records, getting us to a Super Bowl. Yeah, there was some 6-10, 6-5 win teams mixed in with some winning records and longer playoff runs. But that's essentially what we did with
Lovie Smith.
Lovie Smith, was letting him go because he didn't think he had run its course. The time he had run its course.
I think that was one of the biggest mistakes the Bears ever did. I still stand by that. Anyway, I don't know if I would want Mike Tomlin. And again, to me, it would be hard. If you're Mike Tomlin, I think Mike Tomlin probably goes to TV and never. And I'm not saying
he follows the same career path as his predecessor, Bill Cowher, and goes to TV and never entertains any other head coaching offers.
Either that or he just retires. I mean, he's only 51 now.
It seems like he has a strong family bond to where he believes in the. I've never seen him profess making faith-based statements or not, but it sounds like he's a very tight-knit family type guy, private in his matters.
Yeah.
Private in his matters outside of the football field and the facility. So I think I could see him taking a year off and not taking a grueling half year schedule of doing regular appearances on a studio show.
Yeah. I could see him just straight retiring too. So that's
I don't know if I see him going back into head coaching either.
So, okay, with that, let's talk about the divisional round. Bills Broncos. They're going to be on CBS today at 3.
Yeah, I think they have the late afternoon slot.
Yep.
I'm going with the Bills. That's the team I want to see win. And because I think it's, like we talked last week, it's the Bills' best chance to get and win the Super Bowl since Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs aren't in the playoffs.
I agree with that, and I'm actually changing my pick.
Okay.
To the Bills, because I said the Bills were going to win are going to be in the Super Bowl.
Very well. And that's the other reason why I'm thinking of it. So,
yeah.
All right.
Niners Seahawks.
Ooh, it's
Night
a tough
game.
game to play.
Yeah.
Tough game to pick. On the one hand, if the 49ers win and the Bears win, we get another playoff game in Chicago.
Yep.
Seattle wins, that means whoever wins the Rams-Bears game's got to go up to Seattle.
Yeah, but that's not as tough as it used to be. Here's fun fact. I don't know if I would say fun fact, but interesting thing that I've noticed over the years. It used to be a thing that Seattle was the loudest place in the NFL. Teams have figured out how to. I don't know if they're actually getting the fans into it more or if they're pumping noise in. But those stadiums, all of the stadiums are getting excessively, like, as loud as what we were used to, the quote unquote, the Seattle 12th man was back in the day. It's not as much of a home field advantage. However, it's still a home field advantage. It's still a home game. You still have home cooking and your perfect bed that you love and your wife sleeping next to you. That being said, I think the Niners are doing more, and their injuries are in. Brock Purdy's playing. Can't say that about Sam Darnold.
Yeah, they did come out that Sam Darnold has an oblique injury. How you get injured on a bye week is beyond me, but maybe it went from a little bit of a dull nagging injury to now this hurts. Now this hurts. But I think both the coach and the player are saying the coach and the player are saying that I'll be good to go. I'll play Saturday.
Right. Unless my arm is like literally completely fallen off and blood is squirting out of it, if I'm scheduled to play it on a playoff game on like in that type of a game, you're playing in that type of game. Like, I'm talking for me. I'm not going to make anybody else do that. But for me, and I think most of these guys are the type of guys that if push comes to shove and you're like, I don't know. So
I'm going to go Seattle.
Okay.
Just because, you know what, that it was a tight game between the Bears and the Niners.
Yeah.
Both teams are banged up, but the Seattle defense shut down San Francisco in that Week 17 game. Okay. And I think that if the Bears win, I think I'd rather face a shaky Sam Darnold than a locked in. Even favored, I think I'd rather face a shaky Sam Darnold than a locked in Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Because that offense, even without George Kittle, which they'll be for this game, put up a ton of points against the Bears. Albeit that game was in Santa Clara and not in Chicago. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks, but I think it's more of a coin flip type of game to where it could go either way.
Yeah, I can mostly agree with that.
All right. Sunday afternoon, you get the Houston Texans going out to Foxborough to take on the Patriots over on ESPN ABC.
I think this Texans team is the real deal.
Yeah, I'd like to say defense wins championships, but the Patriots have a good defense too.
I think the Texans have a better offense. I think I like C.J. Stroud more than I like Drake May. That's just all there is to it for me.
I'm going with the Texans based on their defense. Patriots I think the Patriots got it. Might be a year early. I was surprised that they did so well this year underneath the Mike Vrabel, bringing back kind of like the Patriot way in bringing in Josh McDaniels to bring back some of that Tom Brady offensive type, offensive type mastering concepts and a strong, authoritative CEO type coach in Mike Vrabel. Bringing back some of those old Patriot ways, but I want to see the Texans keep continuing on. rather than the Patriots. So I'm going to go with the Texans. And finally, Mike, we have Rams, Bears closing out the divisional round on NBC.
Gonna be great. I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick the Bears. I think the Bears, like I said, it's going to be those mid-season or the mid-game changes that they make. How they do it, I don't get it, but it's gonna be great.
Yep, I'm going to go with the Bears as well. Although Matthew Stafford, when the temperature is below 32 degrees, is 1-5. He's 1-9 overall as a Ram in cold, rainy type of temperatures. It's supposed to be snowing in Chicago. It's going to be cold in Chicago. It doesn't say that the Rams just have a losing record in those games. It isn't necessarily reflective that they've been blowouts or heat or Stafford hasn't been productive in the games. They've just come up on the losing end.
Yeah.
The Bears are just doing something different, whether it's halftime adjustments, having clutch games, or just pulling things out of nowhere to pull out a win that they probably shouldn't have had. So I'm going to say that they keep rolling and the Bears get the victory.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Mike.
Yeah.
You see what's coming up.
By the way, the temperature is supposed to be 21 degrees with snow for a high, and I'm trying to get the full forecast for the day.
Yeah, and also, Mike, that crowd is going to be hyped from the very beginning of the game, as they've announced that the national anthem singer will be the great Jim Cornelison.
Yeah.
The guy that belts the national anthem and the crowd cheers the entire time that they're singing. So if you're watching the game live, tune in for that national anthem, as it's already been announced that NBC will air the national anthem performance. I think the only other guy that I
19
like...
degrees, by the way.
Okay, 19 degrees by game time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only other guy that I love hearing more than Cornelison is Johnny Vincent for the Cubs.
Oh, yeah.
I love his national anthem performances.
Yeah. Okay. With that, is it a left turn, Rich, coming up next?
Yeah, it is a quick left-hand turn, Mike.
And after that?
Another left-hand turn, because we're on the test track. It's not a racetrack. We're on the test track testing some things out. As we're going to go into the NASCAR Corner, which is presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. They're in Moline, Illinois, down on 5th Avenue, and you can also find them on eBay. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Mike, you touched base on Greg Biffle last week and what he meant to Cletus McFarland, and how Cletus is going to continue his dream of eventually running the Daytona 500 in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
But this week, the NASCAR world and fans said goodbye to Greg Biffle. What else did that entitle, Mike?
So they had a celebration of life. Family spoke. People in NASCAR spoke. Cletus McFarland spoke. It was, and it wasn't just Greg Biffle. Let's be honest. There were 7 people that died, and they honored all 7 people in different ways. They were in Mooresville. Then afterwards, they come back, and then they at the end of the day, they did a burnouts for Biffle right next to his NASCAR Walk of Fame star, and sent him out in style. So,
was it a replica or one of his old Cup cars, or did the Hertz do a burnout with him in it?
It was a limousine that had a big block engine in it. It had nothing to do. It legitimately had nothing to do with Greg Biffle. Other than the fact that they were doing it in honor of Greg Biffle. So.
Gotcha. I think I saw something on Facebook where they had one of his old Cup cars was a part of the funeral procession, I think, was it?
Yep.
Or it was present that day.
Yep. It's been, I don't know, it's rough. To me, the hardest part is thinking about the fact that those little kids, like there's two, a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old, I think. That I mean, man. Great things were said. The priorities, the priority list that Cletus McFarland came up with, that from his experience, and a lot of the people echoed it as well. Greg Biffle's number one priority was his Lord and Savior and putting God first. Number 2 was family. Number 3 were friends and work, or friends, and number 4 was work and that stuff. Or no, number 4 was helping those in need. And he went through a list of, I think it was like 6 or 8 things, but the top 4 were all that really mattered, and I would 100% agree that those are the 4 that I would hope that when I die, if I die before you, Rich, I would hope that your eulogy of me would include saying that my number 1 priority is God and sharing His love and that with everybody around me, and my number 2 was my family, and then after that, whatever you think it is. And I hope that that's the legacy that I leave when I leave, and it apparently was what those that knew Greg best said that were his priorities, and to me that's a life well lived. I couldn't think of a better way to honor me. If hopefully my life would say that, and people would say that reflects correctly, but also, man, yeah, it got real emotional a lot of times, even through telling some of the most hilarious stories you'll ever hear. So I got to tell one story that was shared. I talked about his relationship with Cletus McFarland and how he was starting to do some YouTube stuff and becoming big on YouTube. One of the things he did was they did a cheap RV challenge. They bought I think $1,000 RVs or $3,000 RVs and traveled from his home in North Carolina all the way to Talladega in these RVs, and they stopped at apparently a high-end nice RV park, and they got there late and everything was closed. Well, they might have had some liquid encouragement in them, and they went to the pool that had a 3-story water slide.
Okay.
That apparently it had just rained, so they were like, "Oh, we could do this. It'll be fine." So they go down the first time, and then they go back up, and one of the guys finds the on switch for the pumps and turns the water slides on, and they go down a couple times, and then all of a sudden you hear the management coming out yelling, "Hey, you guys can't be in there!" Blah blah blah. I mean, the guys were ready to take their lickings. They knew that they shouldn't have been doing that. They thought it would be funny, but they knew that they had broken some rules and they would probably get in trouble and all this. And as soon as the guy gets there, apparently Greg Biffle says, "Well, I was just taking a shower," grabs his towel, puts his towel over his shoulder, grabs the cooler, and walks to his RV. And the guys apparently 10, 15 minutes later are not acknowledging that he knows these guys at all. None of it. Just, "I was just taking a shower," and walks away. And goes back. And as the guys get back, be like, "Man, what are you doing?" He's completely bone dry and has a beer for everybody ready to go. And they just have a good time for the rest of the night. And it, like, that to me just is like, man, that seems like if you and I and Solomon and Eisen and and we got a couple buddies, it seems like something one of us would do. I mean, I don't know. I think probably you were probably the one that would come up with, I was just taking a shower, and you'd just walk away, and you'd win, like nobody would say anything, and the rest of us would look like idiots, but it'd be hilarious, something like that. I don't know, but
I told him that these guys were here when I got here.
yeah, and it'd be something like, and it just to me is like, man, it made Greg Biffle more like, as much as watching his stuff with Cletus and watching his stuff with that whole, like, watching him, I don't know if you watched it, but his YouTube channel was getting huge, and he was putting content out there regularly. Most of that was his wife's doing, but he like legitimately understood how to make content not just good, but relatable and funny and exciting and something that people wanted to consume. And so, like, he was starting to become more of a real person, but he was always still that celebrity status. And to hear those stories, it just makes him feel so much more human. And it was, I'm sorry, I don't need to go off about it and how great it was, but I thought it was, yeah. Good memorial. Sad that happened, but hopefully we all learn that put God first and make sure that people know His love. Also big this week that we got to talk about in NASCAR. Sorry to switch gears,
Yeah.
but we got to do this pretty quick. As the playoffs or championship format has gone back to the chase. So back in the early 2000s, as NASCAR was trying to figure out how do we do a postseason, but also keep our fans engaged, they had this thing that they called the Chase for the Cup. And it was essentially the last 10 races of the year, where it was just they reset everybody's points, and you went towards the championship, and the winner, the points winner at the end of that was the winner of the championship, which is essentially what they're doing. They changed the points for playoff wins, or for wins, to be 55 instead of 45 points, which means winning in is done, but 55 points really is huge, because I think that's 20 points more than the next person gets.
Yeah, I believe so.
Which is huge.
Yeah, I believe so.
So winning doesn't guarantee you in, but it can cover a lot of bad. You can have a couple bad races and still be in the hunt if you are winning races. So yeah. I'm excited for it. Go ahead.
Yeah, since I came to NASCAR fandom during the win and you're in knockout bracket style playoff backing, I don't have too much to say on this one. I'm still kind of in like a wait and see type mood. I want to see it. But the one thing that kind of came to my mind when they announced this type of playoff format is, does this change Trackhouse's strategy with Shane Van Gisbergen of bringing him in to say that, all right, we know that he can probably win 2 or 3, if not all of the, if not win, finish really high on all these road courses. So that's banking up his playoff points to where even if he's finishing middle of the pack, he'll keep advancing because he has all those wins or high point finishes and stage points from the road courses in the regular season. With now the bracket style gone, does that change? If this was around before Van Gisbergen was announced as a full-time Cup driver, would they have made that type of decision, or would they have maybe kept him in more of a part-time or development type role?
I will argue.
Longer.
I will say correct. Your statement is correct. He would not have gotten to a full-time Cup seat as early. However, I don't think it will change their current strategy. Not because it needs to, but look at how his oval track racing has improved immensely over from year to year. It's the gains he's made in his oval track and his racing that is not just road courses has been getting significantly better. Because of that, look for him to have a huge jump this year. This is not a NASCAR preview, so that's why I think they'll stick with him this year, but I think that you are right that it would have kept him out a little longer. But I'm excited for it. I liked the winning you're in. I personally did. I loved the winning you're in. I also loved the top person. Loved the one. I'm one of the rare people that loved the winner takes all in the final race. I liked both of those things. I think 16 is a little much for the chase, getting into the chase. I think 10 to 12 would have been better, but part of the problem is that a lot of guys, and I think we're going to see this tweaked more as we figure out what these evergreen charters will look like financially, and that guys who have charters will effectively be able to make more money. And so the playoffs yes, making the chase is going to be, you're going to get a little extra money, but I don't think it's going to be huge for bonus from the playoffs or from your sponsors. So I don't know that that's going to matter all that much.
I think the only caution that I have about this race is that I would hate to see it to where the championship is already decided, to where those last 3 races don't mean anything because the leader is so far ahead.
So with 10 races, it makes it hard for you to be that far out. Now, if you go through and win the first 5, here's the thing though, Rich. If you win the first 5 and then you do solid in the 6, 7, 8, or 6 and 7, don't you deserve to win the championship?
That I will say, yeah. If you're finishing top 5 in all those championship races, I would reward consistency for it. But I still want that last race to matter and not have it to be, well, as long as he doesn't finish dead last, he's gonna have the championship in the bag.
So here's the problem,
or you have a situation to where he gets, for whatever reason, gets wrecked out in a really random portion, and you essentially have a driver that got wrecked out because he's finished so far ahead. He's the one getting the recognition, and then maybe even whether they're bringing then the backup car in the victory lane to celebrate the championship, or that car that wrecked, they tow it to victory lane, put it there during the entire race, and you got to have a victory speech of, well, okay, it sucks to have the result that I had today, but I'm still celebrating the big playoff win because of how well this team did throughout the entire year. That would be the tricky thing, to where the entire broadcast is, he's out of the game, but as long as so-and-so doesn't win the race, the championship is his, and you're not as much drama in that as far as him racing around, still the perennial championship favorite being on the track.
Yeah.
Making sure that he finishes, that he still has a championship finish.
The thing that I'm not happy about with this is that they never quit messing with the chase. Every year they were changing the rules in the chase, and I hate it. The consistency. Rich, you know how the playoffs are going. You know how playoffs games are played, and you know how the format for every other sport. And I understand NASCAR is completely different because there's 36 guys competing, and it's not just a head-to-head and blah, blah, blah. I get all that. But at some point, NASCAR needs to stop messing with this.
So stick with the format and quit trying to adjust how it is.
Give us 10 years of consistency with your playoff format. Don't keep messing with it. Because if you keep messing with it, it's good. If you don't understand how the playoffs are gonna work this year, which you don't, right now you don't, are you as excited about the playoffs?
Right now, no.
Right. And even when we get to them, you're gonna be like, "How's this gonna work?" And we're gonna have to explain it at the beginning of the year. We're gonna have to explain it leading up to the chase. We're gonna have to explain it through the chase. Nobody's gonna understand it. And that's half the broadcast is gonna be, well, the new rules are, and the new. That's the problem right now with the NFL and the kickoffs. Leave it alone. This is my big gripe right now. NASCAR needs to. I love this format. It's great. I'm excited for it. Let's leave it. Let's give it time to mature. Because if we're going to keep messing with it every year, that's why fans are going to leave. If fans can't understand or fans can't watch a race, those are the two things that are going to make fans flock away from this sport. And if you keep messing with these playoffs, you're gonna. That to me is what's gonna cause problems. So, okay, we do real quick have to talk about the Cubs stuff. Alex Bradwin. Oh,
I guess where are we at on time? Let's do this
minutes.
here, Mike. Okay, let's give a spoiler alert. We'll put the baseball on. We'll put the baseball on the back burner and kick that can down the road the next week.
Okay.
So spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Yep.
We are going to talk about The Masked Singer, night 2, but the TV counter was saying it was episode 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for us, episode 2.
Yeah.
So if you're not a fan, if you're a fan of The Masked Singer and haven't had a chance to watch the episode yet, feel free to tune us out, and we'll talk at you next week. So spoiler alert, spoiler alert. So before we end our show on The Masked Singer, Mike, if they're watching us here on the YouTube, but they just want the audio version of the show so they can listen to it at any time without having to find us on YouTube, where can they find it, Mike?
Facebook.com/
that's where you find the poll questions, Mike. Where can they find just the audio version of our episodes and and a lot easier time to find out previous episodes?
Right now, I haven't gotten them up for a while, but normally it's wherever you get your podcast, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, all the places. I will work on getting that up later, but right now I don't have them up.
Exactly.
So.
All right, and if you're listening to us in podcast land but want to participate live on the show or find more recent episodes, as Mike has alluded to, look us up on the YouTube. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. All right, Mike, it was a pretty much almost like it kind of felt like the second half of the season premiere, as it seemed like it was a continuation of the 2-hour premiere.
Yep.
As we got all new performers, there was no wardrobe change for the panels for the hosts of the show. That almost seemed like they just put a pause on it, or on the TV side, signifying that they just didn't want to have a 3-hour episode instead of a 2-hour.
Yep, totally agree. So they started out with revealing who the croissants were, and it was the Chrisleys, as everybody thought it was going to be. Nobody's surprised. And the intriguing part for me on that is more that, I'm shocked.
They really didn't have them talk that much in their post-interview thing.
Or bring out their daughter who was on the show and did it for their parents because they knew that they could watch it, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, don't care. I genuinely don't care about reality show hosts or show people. This, to me, is a game show, not a reality show. There's a difference. And so on a game show, I don't mind reality shows. I don't care about. When I think reality shows, I think of a day in the life of people I don't care about. And these are two people I genuinely don't care about. But
all right, Mike. So new characters.
Yeah.
What was your favorite costume of the night?
Costume or
let's
performer?
Let's go with costume, then performer, and then we'll talk about who was eliminated. Who we thought should have gone home.
Costume, I'm torn between High Voltage and Calla Lily. I think by design I like Calla Lily better. Mostly if you were at my wedding, you knew that our flowers were Calla Lilies. So I'm going to go with Calla Lilies.
All right.
But I really did like High Voltage.
I liked High Voltage.
Yeah. Performer-wise, I actually liked High Voltage better than I liked I think was the better performer. I think, but yeah. And then, who are your least favorite performers?
I think my favorite, was High Voltage as
Okay.
well. Least favorite, it was the Owl.
Yeah, I think I was torn between the owl and the lahoohoo. By the way, if that doesn't sound like you're talking about a woman's parts, especially
Yeah.
when you're with all the stuff she was doing, I was annoyed with her. And I did not like her singing wasn't good. I don't think the owl's singing was much better. But yeah.
But was it enough to go for another week?
I was
I think singing wise, I think that's where I thought that the Owl should have gone home.
I actually
But
didn't think either one was bad. Like I didn't think either one deserved to go. I think this week should have been more. I think the Chrisleys did a better job than either of them two, and there should have been a double elimination tonight or the Wednesday as opposed to the double elimination 2 nights ago. I think the lahoohoo should have gone home. I think the owl deserves to go home. The lahoohoo ended up going home, and it was Tiffany Haddish.
yeah, a comedian, but they were calling her a triple threat, saying that, oh, she's an actress, and I only think of Timothy. I honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen or heard of her content, but I think I more think of her as a comedian than as an actress.
So she was on Girls Trip.
Okay.
That's the only thing. She was on the Carmichael Show, The Last OG. She voiced some stuff on She's been a voice actor on a couple of things. I don't know. I don't know who she is, but
So yeah, I thought she deserved another night. If you were just going off of the singing performance of versus the owl, but I think the owl will probably be going home next week
I think so too.
if they're featured on the episode.
Yeah.
Because without having like a designation between Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, or whatever it is, we don't necessarily know who's going to be performing on the next episode.
Yep. So with that, Rich, any shout outs this week?
Not this week.
Okay.
No.
Then with that, let's go ahead and roll the outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast with your hosts, Mike and Rich.